Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It's Friday night and we're going to create some art. It's going to be awesome. Um, so, what are we working on tonight? Well, I didn't really have any time to prepare, so I didn't get out any paints, any of my charcoal mess that I usually mess with. All I've got this blue ballpoint pen. So I thought, hey, that'd be a lot of fun. Lately, people have been asking me, like, well, what sort of medium are you going to be working in next? And as you know, I've been working with charcoal a lot lately, and I've been dabbling in painting. And I don't know, it's just been one of those weeks. I don't really feel like doing that today. So we're going to go old school, and we're going to go with blue ballpoint pen. And this blue ballpoint pen is so old. For some reason, I just don't buy ballpoint pens. Um, I prefer like the gel pens, and I usually buy black, but I have to use blue here so that people know that it's an ink picture that I'm doing and not like really dark pencil or even like some of my more professional like actual ink pens. So purposefully, I'm using a blue ballpoint pen. I dug this out of the bottom of my desk drawer. Hopefully, it still has some ink in it and it's not going to run out. I have as a backup a blue gel pen, but I'm going to try to avoid this because you can't really get like lighter values with a like a gel pen. And then if there's going to be some highlights, I've got my white gel pen as well. So that's it as far as like supplies tonight. I think I'm going to try to do a portrait just because I'm kind of curious what a portrait's going to look like in a ballpoint pen. So that's what I'm going to do. If you guys are wanting to chat with me while I do it, great. If not, I'm just going to get to work. So let me jump right in. Got my paper all set up. I got my bourbon. My little wooden dude's hanging out on his easel. I think it's good to get started. All right, so I'm going to take a sip of the bourbon. Then I'm going to start drawing in ballpoint pen. Why not? For some reason, I'm saying ballpoint pen a lot. So if you want to make a drinking game out of that, go for it. So I'm not I'm not really used to drawing in pen. So there's like some immediate issues I can foresee. One is I'm not going to be able to erase. So that's not good. Let me make sure this pen is actually working. Yeah, it's got some ink. All right, so I'm not going to be able to erase. Um, so that's going to be a challenge. I'm not going to be able to move things around like I can with charcoal. Not going to be able to like um, just like find features by removing things that aren't there, which is usually my comfort zone. That's what I usually do. So all kinds of different challenges in this. But and then the other thing is I've been drawing so much in big old messes. I'm not really sure I remember how to do like a technical drawing where, you've got like lines and you're not just drawing in big colored shapes. It's going to be tough. But that's what art is. It's a creative challenge, right? It's gonna, we'll figure it out. So, yeah, like if anybody's in chat, feel free to hang out and chat with me. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to remember to keep looking. Oh, okay, there is somebody in my chat. I wasn't sure. Yeah, drawing with pen is super challenging just because you know, I think it'll be okay. I'm gonna I'm gonna use some of the same principles that I use in my other drawings, just in a different way. So like here, I'm trying to figure out the basic frame of the face here, and I'm keeping my lines really light because again, I can't erase. So like, if something goes awry, it's better just to have the light lines and just kind of sketch around it. But I think this will work out. Hey, Angela. Lizello, and let's see, how do you pronounce that? Lizello. Hey, Lizello. I like to shout out when people are hanging out. Um, for those of you who don't know, Lizello is also an artist, and she's got a very cool channel. um, for my. I've only got a few viewers, but I encourage you guys to go and check out her stuff if you get a chance. It's kind of cool. Um, I think I want to say mostly mixed medium. Yeah, just today somebody was asking like, well, what medium you gonna try next? I think they're trying to push me to yeah, you know who you are. Trying to push me to like oil painting, which I'll give it a shot at some point. I got to get some supplies for that. Um, I think oil paints are a little more pricey than the normal stuff that I usually get, but that's okay. Got to branch out of your comfort zone. Like, let's draw an ink. All right, so I have a basic head shape here. This is cool. Um, Probably a little bit higher up than what I intended because like I was gonna put some hair in up here, but oh well. All right, so I know that, let's see on this, so I have a reference photo over here, by the way. So on the reference photo, in the face, I think the bridge of her nose is about halfway down. So I'm just gonna make a mark there. Real faint lines. You can't even see them on camera, but I can see them. Just a real faint line to let me know where the bridge of her nose is. And then I think a little bit higher than half from there is going to be her nose. I think that kind of matches up with the cheek structure I created. So I'm just going to put a little mark there to let me know that's where her nose is. Like a lot of times when people are drawing, um, they put in like lines and stuff to kind of figure it out. I just put in like little marks. I have the lines in my head, you know. I don't need to see the lines. Plus, when you're drawing in ink, you can't really erase those lines anyway. So, all right. So this is going to be the top of her lips, and that kind of sucks because I often move the mouth around because I always end up putting it in the wrong place. This is what happens when you don't prepare. Um, you know, if I came in prepared, I would have like all my art supplies laid out. I would have a grand plan. I have no plan. I was busy today, um, but I want to keep with the commitment of doing live streams every Friday night. So this is what you get. You get me uh, just kind of trying to create art on the fly. So if some of the proportions come out incorrect here, I think I might just lean into that and kind of make it like an over stylized picture. You know, there's some very cool art out there where like say the eyes are way too big or, you know, some features are exaggerated. I think that's fine. As you can see, I'm being very tentative in my markings here. I'm drawing them really light so that I can kind of pivot if I need to. This is a good way to draw in pencil as well, but especially if you're drawing in ink, you know, this is the point of a ballpoint pen versus the gel pen. So like whenever I'm writing something or taking notes or something like that, I always use like a gel pen. I just like how smooth they are. Like they didn't have them when I was younger. And uh, now that I'm an adult, I'm like, I'm going to use an adult pen. And I really like the gel pens. That said, if you're drawing, I do recommend a ballpoint pen just because you can get fainter lines than you can with the gel pen. I'll probably switch to the gel pen a little bit later on, but for now, especially in the beginning, I want to use this ballpoint pen just so that I can kind of keep the lines light and go over them and kind of move them if I need to. It's starting to look like a mouth. Yeah, you can see that on camera. It's very faint, but it's there. Yeah, no, I hear you, Lazello. That's one of the reasons why I draw in charcoal so much because you can really just kind of lift that up. You sound like a Dieter Plays a Roblox YouTuber. Okay, I don't know what that is, but that sounds fun. I prefer the charcoal because you can just kind of lift it up with one of those kneadable erasers, so that's why like I work with that a lot. Um, I do use pencils. It was so I debated like, am I going to do a simple pencil drawing tonight, or am I going to try to do an ink drawing? And I settled on ink because it'd be more of a challenge, and I like to challenge myself. Like I feel like I could have done like a pencil drawing, and there wouldn't be that much drama or excitement to it. I don't know why I'm starting with their mouth, but I don't want to go too far into details yet. I'm kind of still figuring out. All right, so again, proportion or relational mapping of face structure. So like if you're not drawing the lines that kind of grid you in, you kind of have to rely on some features that you've already drawn to kind of guide your way. So like I've got her mouth here. I know that slight angle up will be the corner of her nose. I'll just put a light little mark there, slight corner up. Let's see. Okay, so a little bit more on this side. Okay, slight angle up, corner of her nose. So that's going to kind of give me her basic nose there. Just round that out so that I know that it's the side of her nose. Hey, Rum Dog, how's it going, man? So you got 700 subscribers. Congratulations. I am not surprised because your dog is super cute. And active. My dogs just sleep all day. I would love to make a YouTube channel out of my dogs, but they don't do anything. So the shape of her nose. The other thing I like about working with charcoal and like pencil where you can erase is I'll go in and I'll put in like lots of shapes pretty early. Here, I'm trying to figure out the shapes by actually drawing them. It's just totally different, you know? And I'm not saying one's better or worse. It's just different. Like honestly, this is how I used to draw when I was younger. Um, it's only recently that I started trying to branch out into other mediums. So here I'm kind of just drawing little marks to tell me the size of her eye. I'm not actually drawing her eye yet. I'm just trying to figure out where her eye is. And I always screw up when I'm doing this. I always make one eye lower than the other, so I'm paying really close attention so I don't do that. So, all right, I'm gonna cheat. Let's see. Is that level? Yeah. All right, so the eyes are on the same level. That's good. And I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna go basically the pin top over. Now look at that. My eyes are actually good. All right, cool. So now I know that I can kind of gives me a little bit more confidence to draw a darker line here. So if I've been trying to be more instructional, like as I talk too. So like basically, if you're paying attention, I draw little tentative dots, right? So like I drew two dots, one at each side of her eye, to kind of guess if that's going to be the width of her eye, and then I make a measurement. So I test. So I make a hypothesis, I guess, and then I test that hypothesis, and if it turns out to be correct, then I feel confident to draw darker lines. Happy Friday, kid! We're going old school here. We're drawing a portrait in with a ballpoint pen. So this is something you might do if you're in a boring meeting at work or something like that, and the guy's just droning on, and you just want to like draw his ugly face. Pull out a ballpoint pen and a piece of paper, and you're solid. You're good to go. So you can barely see the shape there, but the eye isn't perfectly round, or it's not perfectly oval either. You've got some structure there, so like the eyeball is actually round, but the lids kind of form. I don't know what kind of shape this is, but it's not perfectly like it's not like a football. Yeah. Yeah, it is scary. Can't erase. Yeah, Lazello, you don't have to draw all these like grids and stuff like that like people normally do. You can just draw like little dots because you're going to see that in your mind's eye anyway. You're going to see that grid there. So, unless you're like teaching somebody to draw grids, you don't really need to do that. Maybe grids is the wrong word because like actually drawing boxes. What do you do if you make a mistake? You try to cover it up with more marks. I'm sure I will make some, and if I do, I will point that out. But you try to do it really light, like I'm doing here, so that if you do make a mistake, you can try to like just move things around by covering it up with darker marks. Um, but yeah, like if I totally botched where these eyes are, there's not much I can do about it. I just kind of have to go with it. So really what you do when you make a mistake is you tell everybody it was intentional. You tell them, "Oh yeah, I did that on purpose. It's for style. I'm an artist. You're not. Shut up." That's what you do if you make a mistake. You tell them it was intentional and that they just don't understand art. Feel like that's a good one. It's like, of course you don't want to be perfect in art. How are you supposed to express yourself if you're being perfect in art? Like, well, what I'm going for here in my artwork is a subtle expression of what it means to make a mistake. There's so much meaning in that. Like you make up some kind of story or something like that. So this, I'm just using a ballpoint pen intentionally, just because, like, one, it's lighter than a gel pen, and two, I just, like I said, I didn't put a lot of thought into tonight, and I thought I'd go old school with traditional material that anybody can just pick up anywhere. So it's like I do have a nice set of pens of varying like weight. The problem is they're all black, and I kind of wanted to go blue on this just to show that it is actually ink pens and not like markers or whatever. But so I don't have varying widths of these, but I do have a gel pen over here, a blue, which always comes out dark. The reason why I'm drawing in the ballpoint pen is because I can keep it light. I may go and start dealing with the ballpoint pen later. But to answer your question, no, I don't have um, you know a bunch of varying weights on this particular ballpoint pen. I've just got the one, just the one little big pen that you can pick up anywhere. I think this is a little bit nicer than a big pen, but um, it says Pentel. So this isn't your standard big pen, but it is basically just a generic pen. All right, so I think I've got a basic human face there, sort of. Let's see, where do I want her eyes? She's got slightly larger eyes than maybe I intended, but that's okay. I'll just go with it. That was an intentional mistake just to see if you guys were paying attention. That kind of stuff. But I do like drawing in pen because you're forced to be very hyper technical in what you're doing. So like you can't afford to make mistakes as well. Not as well. You can't afford to make mistakes like you normally can. So you're more careful in what you're doing, and everything's done more intentionally, I guess. Yeah. All right. So here's a good example. It's a very fine line here, right? But I've got this line here. I actually want that to go up a little bit. So instead of, just leaving it there, I'm going to draw a line above it, and then I'm just going to make that be the bottom fold over eye lid instead of like the top fold, which is what I had originally intended. So you can do some cover up like that. Like Like, it's not the end of the world if you make a mistake. So I want this eyeball to come down a little bit more. So I'm just going to use that line that I had in there already. It's kind of a shade on it. Yeah, that works. Okay. Yeah, I need that. Yeah, that's what I need because I just didn't want it to be black. So I went with blue because I found a blue pen, but I really would have loved to have done red. If I had found a red pen, we would probably be drawing Scarlet Witch or something like that tonight, which would be awesome. I should come back to that. Like I love Scarlet Witch, the character, and what's her name? Elizabeth Olsen plays the part really, really well. So it would be fun to do like a Scarlet Witch portrait at some point. I've seen some other people do it, and I'm like, man, that's awesome. I want to give that a shot. I try not to draw too many celebrities just because people know what they look like, and it's more challenging. So here I'm just kind of lightly putting in like an eyebrow. Once I get all these basic facial features in, I'll start darkening up some areas. But sometimes these things take a little bit of time for me just because I'm doing things so slowly, just because I want to make sure I get them right. I always have trouble drawing eyebrows. I don't know which direction each individual like hair goes. So that's just my own thing. I don't really know how eyebrows work. Yeah, they still make these pens. It's crazy. Oh, the Ford thing. Yeah, they still make those. I think I've seen them. At like Walmart or something like that. I would love to have one. I think they have a green in there too, which would be kind of cool. So like if you're drawing with green, red and blue, and then black, you could probably create some really cool stuff. I think that's the colors that come in them. I mean, red, blue, and green is kind of what makes up every bit of video color and like, graphics on your screen. It's kind of weird. So like red, blue, and green make up your video, and then cyan, magenta, yellow, and black make up all your print stuff. So those four colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, are what creates every single print magazine thing that you've ever seen. And it's just how much of it they put in each one. All right, got some eyebrows in there. Cool. All right. So now I think I'm happy with where everything is. I'll worry about the ears later. Well, okay, so her ears are going to be slightly above the bridge of the nose. So I'll just put a little circle there to let me know that's where it is. And then I really want this to be lined up. I always make mistakes. So here. Now, of course, this would be a little bit more challenging if you were doing like a live drawing of somebody, like if somebody was posing for you. But because I'm here, I don't mind doing that. Yeah, it's a like crap, an easel. Yeah. So I figured since I'm going to be getting into painting, I might pick up an easel. Although I'm not really sure how that's supposed to work as far as like doing a live stream where I'm painting and I've got this easel. I'd have to figure out how to do my camera because right now I just have this overhead contraption. I'll figure it out eventually. All right. So anyway, I'm happy with with where the eyes are. So I feel like I can come in and start adding some detail here. So there is going to be like a reflection on her eyes of light, but I'm not really worried about that because I do have a white gel pen. I can add that later. So right now I'm just going to kind of put in the pupils. Happy with that. All right. So this is where I might switch to my gel pen just to get a really dark mark. So I love gel pens just for writing. They're so smooth. I don't know why that matters, but it matters to me. There you go. That's the first dark thing on this page that you guys see. That's great. Like just this really dark. All right, so when it comes to the irises, there's kind of a black line around the sides, but it's a faint black line. So like I wouldn't normally, like unless you're drawing comic books where it's over stylized, it's not typically black. It's more like a well, it really depends on what color the eye is and stuff, but it's just shadow. and I don't really make that black often unless I don't know. It really depends. Like in something like this, she has very light eyes. I think they're green, so I wouldn't want those to be super dark. Okay. And then there's always this like shadow cast by the eyelid at the top part of the eye. I'm going to just go ahead and put that in. And then since I feel more confident in this, I'm going to make this line a little bit darker. I'll come back to her eyelashes here in a moment. And I want this one to kind of come around like that. Yeah, but to answer your earlier question, just don't make mistakes, right? That's how you draw in pen. Don't make mistakes. But like if you're drawing super lightly like I am, it's easy to avoid mistakes because they're like so light that you can pivot and go a different direction. Like some small little random line out in the middle of somewhere, like from cross hatching or something like that. It's not going to be noticeable when somebody actually looks at this picture. So, like I've got this little line coming off here. You can't really even see it. Unless I make an eyelash out of it, that's kind of a mistake. That shouldn't be like that. Mostly drawing in ink is just like tedious. That's all. But we've done some ink on this show before, like when I was drawing the castles and stuff like that. Those are architectural features, but kind of same principle. You just be super careful, take your time, no hurry. I think it's a little bit different when you're drawing like comics or something like that, like a graphic novel. Like you don't really need a lot of detail in those. So there's like a little line right above the lid, which is where the actual eyelashes sit on. So I'm gonna kind of faintly draw that in. I know you guys can't see it because like it's zoomed out too far, but there's like a little faint line right above the eyes. And then that is where the eyelashes come out of. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in a couple of those really lightly just to figure out where they are. Like I have a habit of drawing too thick eyelashes. Like the eyelashes are more like, I don't know, like horsehair. And then I draw too many of them, and most people's eyes don't really have that many of them. They're kind of spaced out. It's really tough because like you really have to look at your reference picture a lot, especially when drawing women, because women do their eyelashes so many different ways. Like, um, like a lot of girls nowadays, they paint these like I guess Cleopatra kind of like corners on the eyes and stuff like that. You really have to like you can't just draw what you've seen before, like what you remember eyelashes looking like, because you know I don't know, girls just have eyelashes in different ways, like I don't know, makeup type stuff. I don't understand it. I just draw what I see. Don't quiz me on it. So I think that's a good start. Maybe I'll come back and add some detail later. All right, so on the bottom of the eye, same deal. So like, it's not just a shape. Every girl has these like the bottom of their eyelids. You have to draw those in, and then depending on whether or not they've gotten any sleep, those are more pronounced. Like they're full on eye bags, but you always have to draw like the lids. And I'm drawing it really lightly because one, it's really close to this other thing, and two, it's a weird shape that I'm not used to. You'll find that I draw like shapes that I'm not familiar with, like super slowly because I'm just not like comfortable with them. I just noticed I always seem to do this. I started on the right eye. For some reason, I always start on this side of the face and then work over, which is really strange because you shouldn't do that. Because you're liable to like, especially with pencil and charcoal and stuff, you're liable to smear things. think when this is all said and done, I'm going to take my camera and kind of show you guys some of the detail, because this is a highly detailed picture, I think, or it will be when it's all said and done. So like, I'll try to zoom in so that you guys can see some of these features that I'm putting in. All right, same deal with the eyelashes. I'll probably come back and darken these up later, maybe, maybe not. But they don't come directly. They don't come directly off the bottom of the eyelid. They're like spaced a little bit away from it. Of course, if you're drawing a picture where you're not like worried about detail and such, it it all kind of just gets mashed together. But when you're drawing something detailed in pen, these type of things matter more. That's what kind of sucks about drawing in ink. There's an expectation there. Well, that's not true. I've seen some people do like crazy, like just kind of scribble drawings in ink. Those come out pretty cool. Maybe I'll try that sometime. But, if you're doing something like this, details matter. You're being judged on your marks that you're making. Actually, I don't know. Maybe you're not being judged. I feel judged. I feel like I'm being judged. All right, so that's pretty cool. Not too happy with this eyebrow here, but I feel like it's in the right place to where I can kind of darken up some of those lines tentatively. I don't really want to get crazy with it because I'm not comfortable with the eyebrow yet. I don't feel comfortable with the eyebrow until like the hair starts coming in, because like the shape really starts changing, I feel like. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so I've got this line here forming the nose, but lines don't really exist in reality on the nose. It's really just shadow, right? So I feel like I have to come in and start getting some shadow in here just so that I can relay the form of the nose. I think that's a good way to put it too. So like as an artist, your job is to convey information. And you can do that in a bunch of different ways. Like you may not have to go heavily into detail to convey information. Like if I'm drawing a stick figure, let's see, here we go. If I draw this on this piece of tape down here, you can see that's an eye, and a mouth, right? So I have conveyed to you that that's a face with far less marks. But on something like this, where I'm trying to do like a nice portrait, I have a lot more information I have to convey. And that's all it is. You're a messenger, and you're relaying these messages to the viewer. And like I don't think it really matters in this picture. She doesn't have much of an expression, but say I wanted her to look sad. I would have to find some way of conveying that in the portrait. If she was happy, like for some reason she got great news or something, and that's a message I wanted to convey, I would have to find some way of putting that in there. Like this little face down here, you can tell it's happy, right? Because I conveyed that with the smile. Same deal, just on a bigger level. That's my take on it. So usually on Fridays, I ask if you guys have any weekend plans. I'm not sure if I have any. There's like a little street festival in a small town nearby. I might go to that. I like to go to that just to see what kind of arts and crafts people are working on. But beyond that, I don't really have any crazy plans. I don't think there's any new movies that have come out that I care to see. Oh, I did see Spider-Man, so I don't know if I mentioned that. Spider-Man is such a good movie. The first one was awesome. The second one is really great. There's only one thing that I didn't know going into it. That like was disappointing. I didn't know it was only part one of a two-part thing. So like it ended at a certain point, and I was like, oh no, is that all of it? So it is a two-parter. So just know that going into it. But beyond that, it's so good. So good. Like honestly, it is my favorite Spider-Man movie. I would say Into the Spider-Verse and also Across the Spider-Verse. Those are my two favorite Spider-Man movies out there. Probably my favorite comic related movie at all. All right, I'm gonna move past that. I feel like I can come back to it at any time. I'm not super concerned about it. I want to make progress so that get all of these things in. Like I feel like if I don't get it completely done, that's okay. Um, so long as I get enough of it done so that you guys get the point of what I was trying to accomplish here, which is cover up for the fact that I wasn't prepared to do anything else today. But sometimes you got to do this kind of art, I think. There's like, where you're just relaxing and you're not trying to create anything special. You're just practicing skills. I also, yeah, that's a good point. I think that it's important to practice skills that maybe you used to use and that you don't use anymore. Else, your new habits will become the new thing and you'll forget how to do your old stuff. So, like, again, I used to draw this way back in the day, and I don't want to forget how to do it. I don't think you'd forget how to do it. You'd just get out of practice, I think. I don't know if I'm like actively remembering how to do any of this. I'm just drawing. Um, Hand-eye coordination. There you go. I think that's what you would maybe forget if you don't practice former skills. I feel like this is super light, but it's starting to come through. Like that looks like an eyeball, and it's starting to look like a nose. I wish there was more for you guys to watch. But hopefully it looks okay. So I do kind of want to extend this nose down here. So one way to cover up mistakes is that nose was a little bit too high, so I put in a little extra shadow underneath. And then I'm able to like move that line. But I've talked about moving lines in charcoal. It's so much easier. You can move it much further. Here in ink, if you make a mistake, you can maybe only move it like a millimeter or something like that without somebody noticing. All right, go enjoy your water balloon fight. That's so cool. Ah, summertime's awesome. So yeah, I've got a photo up on this other screen. I don't have it on this computer, so I'm not equipped to show it. But yeah, it's just some model picture I found on the internet. Definitely not drawing this from memory. I could probably clutch through some of this from memory. Like I have encountered people before, and I know what people look like. But no, I do have a reference photo here, mostly for the shadows and highlights, just to figure out where light might be hitting something. It's a lot easier to use a like a reference photo. It's not anybody in particular. It's just some random model I found on the internet. Um, I would show it. I just don't have it on this computer here. Trust me, it looks just like her. No, it doesn't. Sometimes I'm able to get it looking exactly like the reference or the model. But often, nah, I go off on some tangent and it doesn't end up looking exactly like them. It looks pretty close sometimes though. Like if I sat down and I really spent some time with it, I can make somebody look exactly like they're supposed to. But it's just more challenging for me. Like I don't mind the eyebrows being off, for example, because it's just some random person. If it was like, I don't know, like if I was drawing Elizabeth Olsen as like Scarlet Witch or something like that, then I have to make it look like Elizabeth Olsen, and there's a lot more constraints on it, you know? Like you have to capture that likeness because that's part of the job. Here, I'm just trying to draw a good picture. That's a total job. I'm not required to make it look like the person that's in the reference photo. That's like an extra little bit added on to the stress level, and I don't have to suffer that here. So that's a great question though. Yeah, and I need to get better about that, like showing my reference photo. It's just I always forget to put it on my laptop, which is what's sitting in front of me that I'm chatting with you guys on. And then over here I have a desktop that has the picture up. And I probably should like I don't even know who this is. Like I don't know if she's a famous model or just some random person. Maybe when I'm done, somebody will recognize it and be like, "Oh, that's so and so." I doubt it. I want to, just talking in general about things to draw. I want to get to the point where I'm actually drawing things that aren't recognizable. Like I would like to draw just eyes and nose and mouths and stuff where they're not really tied to an individual person, I guess. I don't know. Just like good examples of eyes and nose and mouths and stuff like that. One of these days, I would like to draw or paint or do some sort of art that somebody might hang up on their wall. And unless it's like somebody they know, like it's a family member or something like that, they don't want strangers up on their wall. So you have to find some way of making it sufficiently generic. I haven't crossed that bridge yet. Like I'm not big on composition yet. I need to get better at that. Like what am I drawing and why? Like right now I'm just working on general art skills where I'm just creating random art that means nothing. One of these days I'll try to impart meaning through my art or whatever it is that artists do. I don't know. I just enjoy drawing pictures. I don't know if it means anything. Your question has me questioning everything now. Like what is this for? Why am I doing this? I don't know. Like what is my goal here? Well, I do know my goal. My goal is just to get better and be creative. Like this is actually fun and relaxing to me. Some people watch TV, some people listen to podcasts for to relax. I draw pictures, especially on Fridays after a long, stressful week. That's always a good thing. So looks like we got a bit of a nose here. Yay! Monster portraits. That there's a market for monster portraits, huh? I didn't know that. I have seen a lot of people drawing monsters lately. So I go to Comic Cons and like I always find that art fascinating, but I don't know. Like I don't know if I enjoy drawing um like I mean I've done it. I've drawn some pop culture pieces and stuff like that, but I don't know if I'd like that to be my whole thing. Hey Willie, how's it going? We are drawing and with a ballpoint pen. Like just a standard ballpoint pen that you might pull out of your desk drawer. Just trying something different. Didn't put a lot of thought into this. Just seeing what we can do with the ballpoint pen. And the reason why it's very faint right now is because I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't want to make any mistakes because I can't erase it. Just drawing this lady's mustache right now. I wish it wasn't so light because it doesn't show up on camera very well, but hopefully as I keep going, I'll get some darker marks in here and you guys will be able to see things. Yeah, it's really cool. So like I do have a gel pen here and I've talked a little bit about the differences between the two, but the ballpoint pen, the main reason why you might want to draw with the ballpoint pen while you're sitting at your desk pretending to work or in a meeting or something like that is that you can get different values out of it. So like you can get really light marks, you can get dark marks, all based on like, um, the pen pressure that you're putting down. Like right now I'm drawing really lightly and it allows things to be very well, very light. I don't know what my thought was there, but yeah, I could probably like spend an entire day just like lightly drawing a picture and constantly adding detail to it. I usually don't have the patience for it, but when working with pen and ink, you kind of have to do it. Mostly whenever I work with ink, it's just to get some marks down that I'm gonna end up coming in with watercolor for. So this is different for me. I don't know what I'm so worried about. Like even when I'm drawing with pencil, I don't erase that much. Like the charcoal I erase just to create highlights, but when I'm drawing with pencil, if I make a mistake, I just go with it. I don't try to correct things all that often. Some nice shading on her upper lip there. Looks like a mustache. It's not a mistake. I was going for a mustache. That's what I was trying to do. I'm just kidding. The curves of a mouth. Um, they're very interesting because like you've got what's called the Cupid's bow, and then it kind of comes down and then it kind of wraps around and then it kind of forms these like little indentations at the corner. It's so fascinating to me because I don't except when I'm drawing, I don't really spend a lot of time looking at the corners of people's mouths. Drawing is definitely an interesting experience from that viewpoint. Like you end up seeing more than what you would normally see if you were just looking at a person. And the odd thing behind that is I started looking at people like, how would I draw that person? Which is totally weird because like sometimes I'm just staring at somebody like, huh, how would I draw you? Why with the pen? Yes. So I wasn't prepared today. I didn't have anything in mind of what to draw or how, paints or charcoal, where I wanted to go tonight. Um, so I thought, well, maybe I'll just try drawing like I used to draw when I was in, like high school or something like that, just drawing in my notebook or, if you're at work and you're supposed to be doing something, just how you draw there. So I got the idea, well, I'll do it in pen, but I didn't want to use my professional pens, which are super nice. I wanted to do it in ballpoint. So yeah, living dangerously because there are some drawbacks you can't erase. You know, kind of once you commit to something, you're stuck with it. I don't know. Maybe you can erase. I haven't really tried, but I'm sure it'd be hard. You'd basically be tearing up your paper if you wanted to remove some of these marks, which is not good. Possibly that kneadable eraser might pull up some ink. I don't know. Starting to look like a mouth. That's what I'd like to do, Lazello. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. That is what I'm aiming to do, right? So, like, and I mentioned that before. The reason why I draw in charcoal and the reason why I draw so sketchy isn't because I can't draw like a lot of detail or spend a lot of time doing something. It's exactly that. I want to draw people in public. I want to go to there's a bar in town that's more like an Irish pub, and I want to go there and just draw people at the bar. You know, I live in horse country. There's like a lot of horse farms around here. I want to go to the horse farm and draw horses at the farm. And in order to be able to do that, you have to, one, draw very quickly, and two, be able to take all your material with you, right? So, like, um, if you're lucky, somebody will sit for you and actually let you draw them for, like, I don't know, like a half hour. But when you start taking an hour and a half to 2 hours, nobody wants to sit that long. So you have to basically get an impression of them pretty quickly. So that's actually what I'm building up to. That's like where most of my practice and skill sets lie. Is I'm trying to become a better drawer quickly. Like I've got my charcoal pictures, like a really rough sketch charcoal picture, down to like 20 minutes. Liz Zello. Okay, cool. Um, well, nice to meet you. So I've got my charcoal sketches, like a really rough charcoal sketch, not even like one with a lot of detail. I've got that down to about 20 minutes. Like I can sketch out the essence of somebody in 20 minutes or less, which is good. But again, it looks pretty rough, and I don't know if I've really captured their likeness. So I still have a lot of room to improve on the quality of it. But there's two parts to it in my mind. There's the speed and the quality, and I'm trying to work on both. So that's where most of my studying, I guess, lies, is trying to become quicker at drawing portraits and just drawing objects, like in public. But yeah, that's what I would love to do. I would in particular love to just go to the bar and, just for fun, draw somebody's picture, maybe have them buy my drinks while I'm sitting there. That'd be kind of cool. Or go to like a street fair and draw people's portraits that are just like walking around or whatever. That'd be so cool. Like if I could do that, that would be all I ever wanted. So I don't know about this mouth. I may have to come back to it and fix it up a little bit, but I want to move on. I think it looks like a mouth. Now it looks really weird with just one eyeball. So I'm going to go up and work on that eyeball real quick. So the pupils should be the same size on both. So like if you make a mistake in one, you should make the same mistake in the other. So I have to move my hand so I can look at not even the reference picture, but my own picture, and just make sure that I have the eyeballs matching correctly. Because sometimes I make a mistake where I don't draw them both the same size, and that looks weird. Like, this is where I switch to the gel pen because I want this to be super dark. And again, I've got like a white pen that I'll come back and maybe add some stuff over it. Yeah, so my two goals in drawing is, one, I want to draw people in public, and then two, I've been working on pet portraits a lot, just because, one, I really do like pets. They're like, the best things ever. And two, I feel like every time I draw a pet for somebody who's lost their pet, I just feel like I'm doing some good in the world. So I really like that feeling, and I would love to get better at it so that I can almost exclusively draw people's pets that have passed away. That brings me so much joy that I actually feel like I'm doing something meaningful when I draw people's pets. As like a reminder or like a memento or something like that. So I would love to do that as well. So ultimately, at some point, I'm going to be drawing people's pets at the bar. There you go. That's a great matchup of the two. Um, but yeah, so like everybody does art for, like, I'm not trying to not trying to be a master at art, or do any kind of like really meaningful art or anything like that. I figure leave that to other people. I just want to create really pretty pictures and have a good time doing it. And if it brings joy to somebody, then, well, hey, guess what? That brings joy to me. Yeah, so like I probably would never create any kind of like, I don't know, art goes everywhere, right? So like sometimes there's some really controversial art out there. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do any art that, upsets people or, well, within reason. I don't know. Like, I might do an edgy piece or something like that, but I'm not going to do anything that like makes a political statement or anything of that nature. Leave that to other people. I want to do um, art that brings joy to people if I can. I don't know. Yeah, that's starting to look like a real person. Cool. That's always helpful. It'd be so much easier if this was pencil. I could draw this a lot faster because I wouldn't care about making mistakes. The most important thing when drawing eyes is that people do look at those first. So they're like very prominent. People are going to notice if you make a mistake in the eyes. And then two, they have to be symmetrical. Like, there's some variation in people. Like if you've got a person who's got like say a lazy eye or something, you want to draw the lazy eye just because you want to capture the likeness of that person. But if you're just drawing a random person that, isn't anybody in particular, you have to be symmetrical and you have to make sure that one eye matches the other and so on. Like if you're just creating a character or something, for example, like for I don't know, like a graphic novel or a story or something like that. Man, that's super tedious. Hopefully you guys aren't bored watching this drawing because like I feel like I've been working a while and haven't made much progress. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Friday night. Like I actually look forward to these. These are fun. I feel like these eyelashes over here are longer. Yeah, cool. That's the number one feedback I get. I don't know if that's code for it's you're boring and you put me to sleep and it's cheaper than sleeping pills. But that's the actual feedback I get a lot is like it's so relaxing. I'm like, okay, cool, cool. I don't know if you're saying I put you to sleep or not, but hope you enjoyed your nap. I'm joking, of course. I think it's awesome. Um, you know, rather rather it be relaxing than you guys stressed out watching me. Leave all the stress to me. I'm stressed out. I'm trying to get a good picture here. I'm just kidding. I'm not stressed out. Most of the time, pictures generally turn out okay. Um, there's been a few train wrecks that I've done, sometimes live, and even those aren't too bad. Like I don't care if it's not perfect. I'm just joking. If you want to take a nap, take a nap. That's fine. Sometimes I fall asleep watching people's tutorials, like hanging out on YouTube, like especially like a full demonstration where somebody's like doing a painting or something that takes several like hours to complete. I'll start watching that and I'll get halfway through it and I'll end up falling asleep. Yeah, that looks like a face to me. I don't know about you guys, but get some shadow in here. So I think this is in a good spot that I can kind of come in and start, adding some shadow to the overall face and kind of create some of that form that exists in, like, the human head. Because we're not just like this isn't a cartoon. There are three dimensions. So I was talking earlier about, like, the goal of an artist is to convey information. So one of the pieces of information that I want to convey here as an artist is that this person is actually three-dimensional, and a not a cartoon. So the way you do that is through adding form to your drawing. And the way you create form is, primarily adding shadows. Well, it's not just that, I don't know. But, and then when you're dealing with pen, you can't really blend it. So you do like a lot of, I don't know, there's a bunch of different marks you can make. Like, I've seen them all. Like, some people do like stipple art. Um, Hatching is like very common. That's what I'm doing here. And basically I'm just drawing like lines. I may come back and draw them in like a different, um, cross hatching or whatever. But for now, I'm just happy to draw all the lines in one direction. I hate doing eyebrows. I want to draw a person who doesn't have eyebrows. And then, let's see, you can go back over your lines with a little bit more pressure, and that creates like a darker shadow that you can barely see on camera, but it's there. Going back over the same lines again and again with varying degrees of pressure, it creates this kind of like gradient. In another life, I'm actually just a ink illustrator, because I don't know why, but I don't know, like, this just comes naturally to me. Like, I've never actually sat down and tried to learn how to do shading in ink. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's my OCD or something. I just like drawing the same lines over and over and over again. Apologies to anybody who actually has serious problems with OCD. I make a jokes about having OCD just because, like, I don't know, I do the same things over and over. It's not really OCD. Sometimes I stress it though. Like, I probably have like a mild version of OCD, but I don't want to diminish anybody who has like serious problems with OCD. That's like a real thing that people struggle with. Um, what is it? Obsessive compulsive disorder. So I'm obsessive compulsive without the disorder. There you go. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's showing up on camera. Maybe it's a little bit lighter than what I would like, but all right. So I feel like she's got more of a chin than I wanted, but I can make it work. Again, what sucks about drawing in ink is, I don't know, like if you're using a wash or something like that. So like if you're doing watercolor with your ink or something, you can kind of blend things a little bit, but short of doing something other than ink along with the ink, can't really blend. So you kind of have to find other ways of making things work. Like it's really just about different variations of pressure, especially when dealing with ballpoint pen. Like if I was doing this with the gel pen or my nice ink pens, you would be using maybe different varying line weights or something like that to get these different, I don't know, whatever they're called, tonal values. There. All right, so I kind of want to round off her chin with some shadow. I feel like I started her chin and it was very square. Now I kind of want to round that off a little bit. I think this is looking decent. Now, if it was pencil, I'd be doing some smudging and some blending and, things like that. But can't do that here. I love how I'm just doing her face. I haven't even done like a neck or anything like that. All right. So the line direction does kind of matter as well. So like if you're drawing a shape, you kind of want to follow the shape. But then once you're out of that shape, so like I'm out of her chin shape, now I kind of want to follow the contour of the form that I'm creating. So like if you were to picture her face as like, I don't know, like paper mache over chicken wire, the chicken wire would be the underlying structure, and the paper mache over it is kind of what you're forming here. And you kind of want the paper mache to follow. These are terrible analogies, but you want the paper mache to follow the chicken wire. It's hard to describe. Like if it was 3D modeling, it would be easier to describe, but not everybody's familiar with 3D modeling. So like I dabble in 3D modeling. So what I would be saying is that you have a wireframe, and then you have material over that wireframe. And the wireframes are made up of a bunch of polygons and planes and things like that, and all those structures exist in the human face, and you just have to kind of imagine it as you're drawing. Ink and coffee. So I have painted in coffee. I've painted a couple of horses in coffee. It's actually not that hard. In fact, looking at your art, Lazello, you, I think, would enjoy painting in coffee. So I'll give you the basics, and then I'll let you look more into it. But the basics are that you get instant coffee, and like coffee in its powder form, and then you treat it just like watercolor. You kind of like wet your brush and then dip it into the instant coffee, and the drier your brush, the darker your coffee is going to be. The more water you have on it, the lighter it's going to be. So it's a lot like drawing in water, well, painting in watercolor. Um, but yeah, I think you would actually enjoy it and be pretty good at it, just judging from the channel. Which I've watched a couple of your videos. I haven't watched all of them, but from what I've seen, that's the kind of stuff that you enjoy doing. As far as like ink with the coffee, I don't know. Like I feel like that's a little like excessive. You don't really need to do that. But the actual coffee painting, that's fun. Yeah, we got a face going here. It's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's basically again, make sure you get the instant coffee. Like I've seen some people do coffee artwork. with like espresso and things like that. That's all fine, but if you want to like find an easy way of doing it, get the instant coffee and treat it like watercolor. Yeah, I saw the good ones. I'd love to be able to delete all my bad ones, but I need to keep them up there because like YouTube cares about like the watch hours and the views and all that stuff, so I can't really delete them. But also, I'm trying to chronicle my progress through the year, so I don't really want to delete them. I kind of just want to hide them so that people can't see them because they're all terrible. My very first video on here is just bad. Plus, like, I wasn't really nervous. I just don't know what to talk about. So that's always tough for me, figuring out what to talk about. Let's see. Okay, so there's gonna be a little bit of shadow, so I kind of want to bring in this side. I feel like this should be closer. I'm gonna move that line. Now, here's a mistake I made. So it's super light, you can't see it, but I want this line to be closer to her eyebrow. So I want to bring this line in. It's fine because I can hide that in her hair. So this line over here can be moved a little bit because I kept those lines a little bit light. So I can just make small adjustments and you still see the light line, but you won't be able to see them very well. Yeah, but if you put them on private, the it doesn't count towards the watch hours and stuff like that. YouTube sucks. They got all these policies and stuff like that. I need a certain amount of watch hours in order for them to like consider me a partner. It's just dumb. Like you basically have to jump through all these hoops and stuff. It's not even worth it. I just like enjoy drawing and stuff. But also I really don't want to get rid of, well, private, I can keep them for myself, but I don't know. Part of me just thinks that, well, Jeremy, you did it. It's out there. You just own it, you know. If it's terrible, so what? I mean, who cares, right? There's bad art out there. If you draw something and it doesn't look good, so what? Plus, I have the best excuse. I'm always drinking, right? So I can just blame the drinking. It would have been better if I just wasn't drinking. Well, you haven't dug far enough back. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, like none of it is like perfect, and none of it is well, some of it I'm proud of, but not much of it I'm super proud of. But it is what it is, and I don't I don't care as long as I'm progressing, right? So like as long as I'm getting better on a regular basis, and like you can slip up and create bad art every now and then, but as long as by and large I'm making better art than I did yesterday, that's good enough. That's all I care about. I don't care if any of it is super spectacular or if other people like it and stuff like. I mean, it'd be nice. Don't get me wrong. When other people like my stuff, I mean that makes me feel good. Like it's nice to have that sort of independent feedback. Speaking of which, if you guys like this picture, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That lets me know that it's good. I always forget to say that. All right, so got a face in there. I need to get some hair in there. Yeah, the tonal art on acrylic, that's what I enjoy doing. I try to I try to practice with that a lot because like that stuff looks cool. I like that stuff. That's where I feel like I'm enjoying myself the most, and I feel like I'm being like a real artist or something. So yeah, you can expect a lot more of that. It's just I want to kind of vary it up every now and then. I don't want to do the same thing every single time. So I could have done that tonight, but I wanted to we're gonna kind of go a little old school, switch it up a little bit. Go back to school where you're just drawing in class when you're supposed to be doing other things. Or, you know, like I said, you're in the boring meeting at work with some guy named Brad. It's always Brad. It's boring, right? That's the joke. So you're in a boring meeting with a guy named Brad. You just want to draw pictures instead of like listening to what he has to say. Yeah, so I don't know how to sell art. I just do it for fun. Every now and then somebody tells me they want something and I draw that, and that's so much easier. As far as like figuring out what people actually want, oh, that's tough for me. But thank you. I appreciate that. That's a hell of a compliment. I really do appreciate that. I always forget to give people thanks. Um, but yeah, I guess there might be a market for some of the stuff I do. I just don't know how. Like I started an Etsy store. I haven't put anything on it. I just hang them up on the wall behind me. That's all I do. If a friend wants one of them, I give it to them. I've sent a few out to viewers. You know, people who have expressed that they liked a particular picture, and then a couple of the viewers asked me to draw their dogs. That's always fun because that's where I don't have to really think about what I'm doing. You know, I don't have to come up with something random. That's actually a request. So much easier. But yeah, I really do enjoy drawing the horses. I mentioned before, I don't know if I mentioned today, but I live in horse country. So like I live in Kentucky where basically for like if you drive 30 minutes in any direction, it's just horse farms everywhere. Like I am 5 minutes away from a horse farm. Um, 5 minutes walking from a horse farm. Like if I was driving there, I'd be there in like 2 minutes. It's just Jeremy made art, but I haven't put anything up. If I ever do put some up, I'll put it on like I'll link it from the this channel or something like that. I'll probably put something up eventually. I don't know, but right now it's just sitting there, and it's been sitting there for like I don't know, like a couple of weeks or something. I'll figure it out. I'm not really in that phase right now, you know, and the phase I'm in right now is just improving my art, getting better at it. I'm not really in sell mode or make money off of it mode or anything like that. I just want to. I'll know when I'm good enough to start doing that kind of stuff. To be like a real professional artist. I don't consider myself a professional artist. I consider myself a guy who just hangs out on YouTube and draws pictures. Hangs out with you guys. That's what I do. It's not a bad way to do it, you know. Just go on YouTube, practice every day. Eventually, you get better at it, and and then you can worry about those kind of things. I ain't worried about those kind of things right now. I'm worried about this picture and making it look better without taking 4 hours. I just finished a picture this morning that took me 4.5 hours. It was a colored pencil landscape picture. It actually turned out really well. It was for a guy. He comes in here every now and then. His name's Just Dave. It was his dog. Um, I think that turned out pretty good. All right, I'm gonna switch to the gel pen just because Something about these eyebrows I don't like. See what happens if I kind of add more. Yeah, that's cool. Get some more. Probably do her hair with this gel pen too. Eyelashes in here. Gel pen is kind of like your soft pencil. It's really dark. I guess you could probably get that out of your ballpoint pen too, but your ballpoint pen is going to be like, I don't know, using like an H pencil or something to try to get like a, some of you guys don't even know what I'm talking about, but trying to get a B kind of mark out of an H pencil. Trust me, all that stuff makes sense, what I just said. If you know pencils. One of these days I'll go back to pencils and kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. Let's see. I do like drawing hair in pen. Because like pens are made for drawing hair, in my opinion. All the lines and stuff. Just random. I mean, honestly, it is living dangerously working in pen and just drawing random lines like this. It could go bad. And by bad, I just mean that you just, I don't know, wasted like 2 hours drawing a picture. That's not the end of the world. I've wasted so much more time than that drawing so many pictures. I went and let's see, the library has a better scanner than what I have at home, and I wanted to get some good quality pictures of my art. So I went to the library and I had a folder full of pictures, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to take very long, and I didn't realize I had like 30 pictures I had drawn in that thing, and it took me like I don't know a couple of hours to get them all done and cleaned up and all that jazz. I'm going back to the ballpoint pen because I didn't like how one note that those marks were. Whether you're doing pen or pencil or charcoal or whatever, you have to vary it up. It can all just be one tone. You have to switch it up every now and then. I don't even know what kind of style of hair is this. What? I want little lines coming off. Like, let's see. Let me try and figure out where her hair is going to go here with some lines. I'm going to kind of come up and around. It'll all be dark through here. Yeah, I think all my stuff is Jeremy made art. Like this used to be Jeremy was here, but my Instagram and TikTok, those were all Jeremy made art. And people were like, "Well, why do you have two different names?" I'm like, "Well, I registered this one way back in the day, and this one they wasn't available, so I took this instead and stuff." So I just made them all the same. It's all just Jeremy made art. I'm more creative in my drawings than I am in naming things. Like some people have like really cool names for their art studios or whatever they are. I'm just a dude drawing pictures, so it's just Jeremy. here somehow. Let's see, the ear is going to come up. Going to be kind of lined up with the eyebrow. I think that's the basic here. Ears are always tough. Ears and hands are the hardest human parts to draw for me. Other people probably find it super easy. Not me. Oh, it's pretty cool. Neat. Moment. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do the same over here, just so that I don't not do it. It's about the same. Her ear here, so her head is slightly moved to the one of the directions. Her, her head is moved to one of the directions. So now that I'm not like dealing with any kind of like really detailed area, I feel more at liberty to kind of sketch rather than being more precise. So so there, I just cranked out an ear in like 2 seconds when I've been working like really, you know, spending a lot of time on a lot of these other parts. I mean, once you know where everything goes, you have like a lot more freedom. Plus, you know, like I've said in past streams, you kind of want to like draw somebody's focus to something, and there's a couple of different ways you do that. One of them is, you know, the more detail you put on something, your eyes are naturally drawn to areas of great detail. There's a bunch of different ways that your eyes are kind of focused on something. One is by like creating contrast. So if you if I were to put like a red dot right here on her head, right? Maybe like a I don't know, like a pimple or something like that. Your eyes are going to be drawn to it because it's different than the area around it. That's just the way we work. Um, so an area of contrast will, uh, you know, draw somebody's eyes towards something. Um, Another way is like detail. So like if you add a lot of detail to an area, that's where the eyes are going to go because you're 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 trained to go looking for detail. So some place that has like a lot of information, that's where your eyes are going to go. So really as an artist, even though I could draw like every single piece of hair in her head, I don't really want people looking at her hair. So it's okay to leave some of that stuff less detailed. Same with like her ears and other areas. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but point is, I'm freed up to do like a lot more sketching than I was before because all the focus should be like around here. All right, switch into my gel pen so I can get some darker marks quickly. And I want to block in her frame, her forehead here, and then I can worry about like the hair. I like looking over at my dogs sometimes. You know, hair is so easy for me to draw, but I like a lot of people struggle with it. Um, it's really just like a bunch of different lines of varying weight, right? So you've got shadows, especially at the roots, at the part of the hair, but also in other areas and stuff like that. So you just put in like areas of that, and then you leave the highlights just white, and then the rest is kind of mid-tone, and that's actually the part that you struggle with because you have to make sure you put that tone down. Like right now, it's all just like white, but I'll get to it. So obviously behind her ears, it's going to be all shadowed. Welcome back, Rum Dog. Hope you won that water balloon fight. Let's see, I guess I should give her a neck. Let's see, so the neck would come down right through here. And kind of come back out here. Looks like a neck. And there would be shadow through here. And she's kind of has like a sweater on, but there's way too much detail in that for me to even bother with. So I'm gonna skip over that during this live stream. Like we're already an hour and 35 minutes in. Usually try to keep it around 2 hours. So I'll skip doing any kind of like detail of her top. Good job. Yeah, that would kind of suck if your phone got screwed up over a water balloon fight. All right, so her other neck line comes at the corner of the mouth there, and it comes down and it curves in a little bit. And there's a slight shadow, a slight that comes down through here. All right, I feel like that's good enough for a neck. Makes me want to add some more shadow here because it's a bit of a wider, bolder line. I mean, all in all, this isn't too bad. I mean, it's a basic face, but it's drawn in a ballpoint pen. That's pretty cool, right? I didn't have to erase anything. I didn't put in a bunch of like guidelines or anything like that, like most people do when they draw. Looks like a person. That's good. Kind of, kind of make want to make sure that it looks like a person. All right, so she's gonna kind of have some wavy hair that kind of comes down. I don't know how much detail I'm gonna put in this, so I'm just gonna kind of sketch that out. it would kind of come down behind her shirt. I think I should probably draw in. She's kind of got like was it not a full turtleneck, but like a mock turtleneck, I guess, like a half turtleneck. Is that a thing? I don't know fashion. I'm wearing a Rick and Morty t-shirt. I don't know anything about fashion. Gonna come back in around here. It's kind of funny all the different things you have to know as an artist. So you have to know, you have to know how to draw. You have to know basic anatomy. So you need to know where all the parts are. You have to know fashion. You have to know colors. It's just ridiculous. Like you basically have to know all the different parts of human experience in order to be able to convey that through your art. It is really kind of astounding when you sit down and think about all the different things that you end up making as observations. Because that's all it really is you're making observations and then conveying that to the viewer. So when you sit down and think about all the different things you have to be observant of, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm complaining about it like it's a job or something where it's like actually a chore. It's not. It's great. It's actually really, really cool. It's just every now and then I forget all the different things that you have to know. All right, so this turtleneck that I've given her kind of comes back in here and kind of comes back up over here, and then this would be her shoulder. I don't want to get too crazy with it, so I'm just going to draw a few lines here to say that's where her shoulder is. Put some hatching. All right, so now I feel like I can do more with her hair. All that work just to do the hair. Can't draw the hair until I know where her shoulder is. Can't do her shoulder until I know where the neck is. See how it works? Makes sense? And I'm just kind of scribbling in some. Yeah, I went to college, um, but not for art. I went to college to be a tree care and landscape manager. So I had the crazy idea that I would be like a landscape architect, but I didn't do anything with it. And eventually, I ended up teaching myself how to be a programmer, and then I worked for 12 years as a software developer. Um, I never went to school for art. Um, I know some of the basics just from like, high school art class. And also I learned some of the generalities of like what makes art in graphic arts, which I did take as like a vocational school thing uh, when I was in high school. They had a vocational arts program for graphic arts, but back then it was more for like like running printing presses and stuff like that. It wasn't for like computer design or anything like that. But I taught myself how to program just because I was really super interested in computers and programming, and I'm actually pretty good at it. And I never get bored of it, but there's only so much creativity in it, Like a lot of it's just mind-numbing, repetitive actions, which I'm actually really good at. I don't mind just zoning out and doing repetitive actions. But, you know, again, you don't get to create pretty pictures of women out of thin air, and when you're programming, well, I guess now you do. There's AI art, but hopefully you get my point. My point is it's very analytical. It's not creative at all. Being just a normal, typical programmer. So that's why I'm doing this. It's just to how come you don't draw plants? So actually, that was another thing that was on the options for tonight. I was thinking about drawing a bonsai tree, um, but the real reason why I don't draw a lot of plants is because I don't feel like I've gotten very good at color yet. I'm still learning how to like I could draw an ink picture of a plant, um, but I really want to like do those in color, like landscapes in color and trees in color and so on. Um, and I don't feel like I'm good enough in color yet. So that's the real reason. There's a lot of color in plants. But one day I will get there. Plus, also, this was a long time ago I went to school. Like, I used to know, like, the Latin names of all the different trees and how to identify them by their branches and bark and all of that. I don't remember any of that stuff. I don't at all. Like, I was okay in school. Like, I paid attention and got good grades and all that stuff. But honestly, once you fill your brain with something, it replaces what else was already there, right? So like I filled my brain with all the stuff that I need to know to be a programmer, not to be a landscape guy. And I don't remember any of that stuff from school. I mean, maybe like a little bit of stuff. Like I know enough to do my own garden, but as far as like actually being a professional landscape architect, no way. I thought it would be fun though. Like I had the idea that I would go and work at like a zoo or like a botanical gardens or one of those places that have like lots of trees and lots of plants and so on. I thought that would be a really cool job. I don't know what I was thinking. It probably would suck at the job, but at least back then I thought it would be cool. That is the truth. The only way to get better is just do it. Practice, practice, practice. Yeah, so like I do programming. I'm a C sharp developer, mostly building websites. Um, I I worked for a long time at the United States Equestrian Federation, which is the national governing body for equestrian sports, and I spent more than a decade there, and got pretty good at it. Only recently left that to kind of go and pursue my own stuff, which I'm still working on. But yeah, it's a living. It's fun. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I shouldn't be so hard on it. You do get to be somewhat creative. Like anytime you build something, you're being creative, but it's not the same type of creativity. Like you don't draw stuff. I think it's cool. Um, Programming and artwork has some similarities where it there's a lot of problem solving. So like you're constantly figuring out different ways to do things when you're drawing pictures or painting pictures or something like that. Like you're trying to figure out, well, how am I going to convey this information here? How am I going to make this happen? I've got this ear to put in. How do I do that? So it's a lot of problem solving and drawing pictures and stuff. So, long story short, I'm a problem solver. That's what I do. I solve problems. No problem too small. If I can't fix it, somebody else will. So because there's not like a ton of detail in here, I feel free to just kind of sketch in the hair. And I do like that change. It's hard to see on camera, but this is like a really navy blue, right? And then this is coming out as kind of a lighter blue. And I like that. That's really cool. that like little shift in blues. Hair is actually really fun to draw in ink, as I'm seeing here. Like I don't even think this would look as cool in pencil, but here this looks super cool. I think any ink skills that I picked up, like I don't know, I don't draw in ink a lot, but any skills that I do have, it comes from wanting to draw comic books. Like I always thought it would be cool to like actually, and the only reason I haven't. Hey, hello, Homans. The only reason why I haven't done a comic book is I don't have a good story. If I had a good story, I would totally do like a comic or a graphic novel or something like that. But I feel like I could make my way through doing the visual storytelling side of it. Like I could probably create the characters, get the expressions right, probably do all that. It'd be challenging, don't get me wrong. That's like real work, but I could probably figure it out. Oh, I appreciate that. Hello, Homans. Yeah, tonight we're just drawing with a ballpoint pen. Um, Trying to see if we can create a portrait with without an eraser, just kind of freehanding it, bringing things out as we go. I think it's turning out way better than I thought it would. Like I thought I would have made bigger mistakes and not been able to like solve them or resolve them. But no, I think this actually looks like a person, kind of just putting in some hair. It's not necessary, but I always like to have hair out of the place. So like, you know, like little strands falling down and stuff like that. I think that that adds some character to the character. So I do kind of want some shadow areas up here. Trying to figure out how far back to make this hair go. I don't know if it's supposed to go off page or not. I'm gonna end it right up here, even though I think it's actually supposed to go back further. Again, I like this variation between the blue of this gel pen and the blue of the ballpoint pen. It's kind of cool. Both of these are old. Like I found these at the bottom of a drawer, you know. I'm surprised they still have ink. That was one of my concerns tonight, whether or not like I'd run out of ink or they were more dried up than I thought they would be. And I was like, oh, where am I going to find? So I have another black pen over here just in case that were to happen. But looks like we got enough ink to finish this up probably. All right, I'm happy enough with this side. I don't want to overwork it. I want it to kind of still look um, kind of loose and yeah. It says I'm done with this, and then he continues working on it. But I do want it to kind of look a little loose and not too structured. Yeah, cool. There's nothing more satisfying than just scribbling a bunch of lines, honestly. Because, like, I mean, these lines could go anywhere. It's not like you're really trying hard here to keep them making awesome art or anything like that. I mean, they could literally go anywhere and they end up looking more or less right. That's fascinating to me. that that happens. I like your suggestion, Lizello, to draw some plants. I'm gonna have to put some thought into that. They say draw what you love, right? I do like plants. I like plants. I like animals. I like people. Probably won't catch me drawing cars. I'm not a big car fan or anything like that. Um, in fact, I would even go so far as to say inanimate objects like, I don't know, like cars, buildings, things like that are tougher for me. I like organic objects, things found in nature. This scribble stuff is fun. Sorry, I'm on a little side tangent here, just having fun scribbling in here. Hey, Vertigo, how's it going? Just hanging out on a Friday night, drawing in ballpoint pens. Well, primarily ballpoint pens. I do have a gel pen in here as well, but it doesn't really show up well on camera. But this is a blue ballpoint pen, and the idea here is, what could we draw in a boring meeting at work while we're supposed to be doing other things? And yeah, we're almost 2 hours into this, and I think it's taking shape. Looks like a human. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but my cat's in the background, like mewing. Um, I don't know if I've mentioned all the animals I've got. So I have two dogs. I watch my parents' dogs often, so there's usually four dogs in the house. Um, I have a cat, and I have a bunny rabbit, a little dwarf bunny rabbit. That's not indoors though. It's an outdoor cat. Not cat. Sorry, bunny. The cat is indoors. Cat would kill us if we ever made it stay outdoors. Because I don't know how outdoor cats work. Like, how do they even come back? Like, so it's really nice after you know where everything is. You can make all the lines a little bit darker. So we are coming up on the 2 hour mark, which is usually where I call it, but I kind of want to get this done. So you guys are welcome to hang out with me. I'm just going to keep going and try to finish this up because, like, I don't know, just need her hair and her top, more definition on her top. And I actually like this. I think it looks cool. So I'm kind of committed to finishing it. . But if you want to fall asleep or take off, I will not hold it against you. I don't think that most people actually watch the entire stream anyway. I think they come in and watch little bits and pieces here and there, which is totally cool. Like, honestly, I would probably have it on as the background or something. That's how I do with like podcasts. So like, I'll play a podcast and I'll like listen to it randomly while I'm doing other things. Just kind of have it on in the background while I'm working or something like that. I think that's probably the best way. I like the curves of the hair that I'm getting in here. It's kind of hard to see, but did you get peeped in the bathroom last time? I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible. But you have fun at the bar there, Willie. Don't get peeped on in the bathroom. Oh, pastels are awesome. So like I haven't done a pastel picture in a little bit, but I feel like I'm gonna be revisiting that soon. It's a lot like working with charcoal, which is great. But especially in terms of like, well, I think pastels are great for doing like portraits, but also especially for doing like landscapes, especially impressionistic kind of landscapes. I think that's awesome. You should totally record that and put it out on video, regardless of how it turns out. Like if it turns out bad, it turns out bad. There's nothing wrong with that. You should do live streams, Lizello. It forces you to not care whether or not it turns out bad because you don't have any control over it. If it turns out bad, um, guess what? You're live and you can't really change it. Like that's part of the reason why. Well, I mean, I like hanging out with you guys, but part of the reasons why I do these live streams is kind of holds me accountable. There's really nothing I can do about if a picture turns out bad or not. There you go. That's a great way to resolve it. So here's a pretty picture that a tornado is just going to come in and blow it all away. Oh no! I love it. We were saying earlier about how you can't really make mistakes. You just kind of cover them up with like a story. All right. I think that's good on the hair. I don't really want to overwork it. So I know some of the value here in the shadows and stuff like that, you guys can't really see because it's so light, but I see it and I think it looks pretty cool. Let's see, I don't want to. Oh, yeah, competing with the Xbox. I'm surprised I'm able to live stream because one, I live in Kentucky and the internet here sucks. And two, there's a lot of TVs playing in the other rooms. It's not exactly like Xbox kind of situation, but again, she's kind of got like I don't think it's a full turtleneck. And again, I don't know fashion. I don't understand clothing, but I don't think doesn't look like one of those turtlenecks they wore in the 70s or something. Oh, cool. Um, do you have your Instagram linked from your channel? Because I'm not sure if I've been to that. But yeah, I love checking out the artwork of people who pop in here. Like I feel like I'm getting to know you guys a little bit through your art. You know, it's kind of fun. Um, People come in and hang out with me, and then they talk about the art that they do. Like I recently did a stream where I was just showing off their artwork. Like people have emailed me their art and stuff, and kind of forming a little bit of like a little art community here, which is kind of cool. Bunch of people have shared interests hanging out together. That's kind of neat. All right, let's see. So from this end here, let's say her shoulder kind of comes across like that. I think that's good. And then it kind of wraps around, more or less a little bit off from the ear. Yeah, I think that works. So sometimes I draw just the face, but I don't like drawing just the face. I like to have a bit of torso in there just so that it's not just face. I've done some, probably none of the ones I currently have it hanging up, but that's how I started off doing portraits. Some of my earlier portraits were just drawing the face, and it's weird. It's like this disembodied face, just like out there. I stopped doing that pretty quick just because it was weird. So now all of them, I try to draw the face up here, sort of, and then kind of put in at least a little bit of a body. I don't spend a lot of time on details in the body unless they make sense to. Um, but I do want to at least have some of that there. I don't know if there's like rules for like portrait drawing where, you know, somebody who actually went to school would know that, but I learned it pretty quick. I learned that it looks weird if you don't draw at least a hint of a suggestion of a body. Just like a floating head is weird. Unless that's what you're going for, if you're unless you're going for weird. So you say there's a market for yeah, I'll definitely check out your LinkedIn. I'm sorry, not you. You said it's linked. Um, I'll definitely check out your Instagram. Sorry. Um, so you said there's a market for like monster drawings. That's amazing to me because I've seen a lot of people drawing monsters, and now I know why. I didn't realize that. It's funny how art um, trends come and go. Like I heard recently that steampunk is kind of on its way out, and that's been around for a few decades now. Like I like steampunk, but apparently the steampunk fad is being replaced with cyberpunk. So like everybody wants to draw cyberpunk pictures now. Not draw, but paint or whatever. Which I'm not really sure what comprises cyberpunk, but I guess that would be like your Blade Runner kind of films, and to a lesser degree maybe Star Wars, kind of a futuristic kind of world. Oh, D&D is never going away. Fantasy art, yeah, I love fantasy art. Dragons and wizards and fairies, and that's never going away. I will always draw that kind of stuff. Bye, Willie. Have a good time. I think I'm almost done here anyway, so you're not missing much. I think for better or worse, this is kind of where it's going to be. I'll probably wrap it up in the next, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, maybe. Anyway. Just add like little small changes here and there. Yeah, I think this is about done actually. Like any tiny improvements are kind of like just that. It's not like it's a commission portrait or anything where I have to be perfect. Honestly, that would scare me. So like a commissioned dog portrait, I feel like I can handle those. A commissioned person portrait, that would make me super nervous. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. All right. I think I'm gonna call it. Oh, I promised. Let's see if I can do it. I want to see if I can zoom in on some of these details. I don't know if I can without moving my camera. Let's see. Let's see. Well, maybe. I don't know. It's still kind of hard to see. But anyway, those are there. Let me move that back to where it was. I think that's about right. Yeah, close enough. All right. Well, I think that's about it actually. Yeah, so portrait and ballpoint pen. I think maybe there. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I forgot to put in her eyelashes. I always forget something at the end. I didn't put in her bottom eyelashes on this side. They're very subtle on this side. But over here, they're non-existent. Little details matter. Yeah, that's good. Oh, you know what I forgot? I had actually mentioned this. A little bit more shading in the lip. All right, little last minute details that you forget. I always do that. Like sometimes I hop off the stream and I'm like, oh man, I totally screwed that up. And I add like little things here and there. So I do have this white gel pen. I wanted to add some reflection. I always have to do it over here to make sure that the ink is there. So I wanted to add like a little light reflection over the eye. See, that just really makes it sing. You know, it's hard to do a portrait. Like some portraits, you don't want to add these, like because the eyes cast a shadow, and it would be weird. But it is odd not to add the highlights in a picture like this, where there is no such shadows on the eyes. So I'm actually going to fill this in a little bit more and then add highlights over this as well. All right, every time I think I'm done. Sorry, I was gonna let you guys off the hook. Sorry. All right, so I wanted to add a little bit down here, kind of in the same vein. Because like the eyes are definitely reflective, and then most women wear like lip gloss or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't understand makeup either. There's a lot I don't understand. Um, but it causes like these highlights. And then, you know, if you wanted to be crazy, you could add a few in the hair to kind of cover up little places that you might have accidentally fudged up. There you go. If who asked that question? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Whoever asked the question about what do you do when you make mistakes, well, if they're not big mistakes, you do have access to like, you know, whiteout, which you can use as part of your tools in your tool belt. All right, so I just want to little tiny things. Finish up these eyebrows. Going a little nuts there, but that's okay. Oh, almost besides the point kind of change there, but I like it. I think that's much better. All right, now I think I'm done. Okay. Let me take one last look at it like I always do while I take a sip of bourbon. I feel like this cheek has some more shading on it. Just when I thought I was done. But I do think I'm done. Ish. Until I think of something else. Thank you, kid. I appreciate it. Thank you, Rome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lazello. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Vertigo. Thank you, Lorraine. Oh, it was Lorraine earlier who asked what you're supposed to do if you make a mistake. Yeah, honestly, if you make a mistake, just pretend like it's part of the picture. So it would be kind of cool to actually like, you know, put in some freckles as well. Like I feel like she has light hair, which means she's probably got light skin and probably has some freckles. Just little details. Don't have to go nuts with it. All right, now I think I'm done. I'm done enough. All right, I'm done. Okay, we're gonna call it. After one more straightening here. Hold on. Didn't like how. There you go. Now I'm done. Oh yeah, so my Instagram is just Jeremy Made Art. I'm sure you can find me. If not, then I'll find you and comment on something. You'll find me. All right, so I think that's about it. I'm gonna call this done. As soon as I hop off, I'll go ahead and take a picture of this and post it up on the community tab so that you guys can see what I see, which doesn't translate to camera as well. But I think it's a pretty good picture. I like that it's blue. I like that we did this because the I guess the point of this exercise, well, I'm not sure there is a point, but um, the point was that I wasn't prepared and didn't have like anything else like paint and all that stuff set aside. But I think that this is still a good exercise because honestly, if you're just a casual artist, you're not going to go out and get like a bunch of art supplies and stuff. You're going to use whatever comes available, and there's nothing more readily available than the ballpoint pen and a white piece of paper and your imagination. And those three things, your imagination, the pen, and the paper, are all you need to create awesome art that you and others can enjoy. And it's not about creating great art. You don't have to create anything that looks like this. It's really just about being creative. And if you practice creativity every day, you will eventually get better. You know, I think I'm a pretty good example of that. When I started back in January, it wasn't terrible stuff, but it wasn't anything that I was proud of. And I feel like the more I practice, and I do practice pretty much daily. I don't think I've taken a day off, even though I reserve the right to. Um, when you practice daily, you do end up getting better. So, hey, Trusted, you came in just as I was leaving. We're actually calling this one done. So, yeah. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Sorry, Trusted, you came in at the end, but I'm gonna go ahead and hop off because like it's been 2 hours, 20 minutes, and I told people I would. All right. So again, thank you very much for hanging out with me on this Friday night. I'll be back on Tuesday with something new. I might make a standalone video over the weekend. I know that I haven't been creating a lot of those things lately. It's something that's not a live stream. The shorts, I continue making shorts, but they're not as fun as creating these longer pieces. So I might do another standalone, shorter, like long, not as long as the live streams, but you know, 5-10 minutes or something, explaining some aspect of something that I've done that I've had fun with and that I want to share. So anyway, again, thank you very much for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys Tuesday. I'll post this up tonight. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you then. All right, have a good one. Bye.